by making capital. Just try again. Hello and welcome to another episode of With Enough Prep Time. I'm your host. Sorry, I'm just on my other job. Something on YouTube. Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. So this guy I have been an absolutely huge fan of for a very long time. I can't explain how much he has made me laugh with certain reviews of his. I just think he's hysterical, and I'm so glad to have him on my channel. Jaded Fanboy, you can introduce yourself, tell them about your channel, tell them about yourself, and we're going to go straight in to the opening gambit, which is your opinions on Dark Knight after.
Oh, yeah, I picked that one. That's a great one. Just so that everybody can hate and establish how invalid my opinions on anything after that, we're going to pick The Dark Knight, one of the most popular, well-loved Batman movies of all time.
Right, exactly.
To give a rough rundown of what my channel is, it's simply to point out all the stupid in the most popular MCU Disney shows that for some reason most of the fans just don't seem to notice. So I take it upon myself to inform them all the stupid that they were too stupid to know was stupid.
That's basically it. That is basically your channel. I'm yet to know a film that you like, though. So we're going to go into this. This is going to be kind of like a little bit of an interview segment, I suppose. But I'm yet to see from your channel, because I was totally with you on loads of things, right? I was with you on like the Endgame and Infinity War. I fucking love those, man. I go back and watch those videos every once in a while just to have a little chuckle. But then I was like, wait a second, do you like any movies? Is there movies that you like new ones?
Okay.
What's up, Robinson?
There are a lot of movies that I love, but the reason I never make videos of them is because there's nothing wrong with them. Like, right. I'm like a public service announcement. Let me explain to you how stupid these movies are. Well, with a movie like, the first Iron Man movie, there's nothing to complain about. There's nothing to tell you what's wrong with it because it was a great movie. If it's a good movie, you don't need me. You already know it's a good movie. So I don't actually talk about, there are good movies that I do talk about if I don't think anybody knows about it. Because there was this one movie, I honestly can't remember the name of the movie, but it was the one where it was like a video game where the guy keeps reliving his life over, that one day over and over again.
Oh, it's the Tom Cruise movie. That's really good.
No.
You don't like that one?
No. Oh, I love that one. It was, hold on a second.
Is it right? The Ryan, what's his name?
It's like the Deadpool guy. He's playing a video game, but he's playing the same day. Like the same 7 assassins are trying to kill him.
I don't know it. I really don't know. Is it new?
Yeah, it's new. Well, anyway, there was no advertising for it, so I made a video going, this is one of the best movies of 2020. And I only made that video simply because I went online and there was nobody making a review of that movie. There was nobody talking about it. So I got to let people know that this movie exists. So there are movies that I like, but I don't normally talk about them because of
course. So, all right, tell me what's wrong with The Dark Knight. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Why am I a moron? Why am I a fucking idiot for liking it?
Because of how they deal with the Joker. The opening bank scene, okay? You have the Joker drive a school bus through the wall of a bank. how was this bus, fortified? No, it just if it was that easy, anybody could rob a bank. But he drives the school bus through the wall of the van, and of course, there's no actual damage to the van or the school bus, right? Like the school bus apparently was made out of vibranium, right? So that it didn't get any damage. Then everybody that's part of the plan kills the previous person part of the plan. Well, how do you even plan that? How do you even plan? You got 5 guys, and each of them is supposed to know that once they do that, they're going to kill each other. Well, after the fourth person is going, okay, let me see if I get this straight. The person before me is going to kill the person before me before the person before me. Why would I join your group? You're killing us. What, is there a person after
Well,
me?
hey, some criminals aren't that bright though, but these criminals seem to be high-tech criminals, so you'd expect them to be like pretty clever.
Yeah. So they're joining a plan in which the plan involves killing the person before you. Well, God hope that there's not a person ahead of you on the plan because he's going to kill you next.
Wait, no, you're right, actually. You know what? You're actually right because... So let's think this through. So you're saying, right, like he has to convince the first guy that somebody's gonna, like the guy who's like, getting the money from the vault, right? Yeah. He's gonna convince him that the guy is guarding him, right? So there's a guy guarding the guy getting the thing from the vault. He's gonna convince that guy to kill this one. But then there's another guy behind who's going to kill the guy who was guarding the guy who's doing the vault, right? Right. And he's got to know that guy killed the guy, right? Who opened the vault, right? He's got to know that. So he's going to know, wait a second. So you want me to kill like the person who's already killed off somebody. So is there going to be somebody who's going to kill me? Like that has to be something that goes through his mind.
There has to be something in his mind. But the movie can't actually have that established because then you actually lose the effect of kill. And then the Joker ends up killing the last person and he drives off anyway. Well, wow. I hope nobody else, I hope he's not able to establish another team knowing that that's how he treats his henchmen. Or his people. Right. Then when he finally steals all the money, right? He backs up the school bus out of the hole of the van as you see police cars driving up to the bank. Gee, maybe the school bus that is coming out of the hole on the side of the van might have something to do with the bank robbery. But
that's true. They'd stop all of the school vans, wouldn't they? That's what the police would do. Right.
You figure there's cameras going, hey, the getaway car is a school bus. You might want to mention that to the police officers. No, and then to even add insult to injury, you actually see the school bus drive by the police officers with the smoke and debris still coming off the top of the school bus.
But here's my problem. Here's my problem, though, Jaded. It's consistent with the logic of the movie. That's where I have
stupid.
Yeah, but it's not real life. Right, so like it's consistent with the logic of the movie.
No.
Right, like that's where. Okay, go on.
If this was the Batman TV show from the 60s, where it was all comedic and really hammy and stupid, yes, it works that way. But the thing about the Batman movies with Christopher Nolan is they were meant to be as realistic and as serious as possible. They were meant to show what would actually happen as best as possible if this was real.
Yeah,
if Batman, if Batman was actually going to happen.
But Batman can't grapple onto like a train and then that's impossible. You couldn't do that. You'd be dead within seconds. Right. So like if he shot up on the plane like a grappling hook and like the train's going at however many miles per hour, and he'd be dead. So there's points of where it lacks realism. I think the like thing that I liked about those Batman movies was there's like psychological realism, but then I think Nolan got a bit too lost in the realism aspect, where it's like, dude, this isn't realistic. Stop it. Just stop it, right? I like the fact that you're fleshing out the characters and making them more three-dimensional than your, average comic book movie, but stop trying to pretend like this stuff could, even, potentially happen. Everyone would know who Batman is, first of all.
Right.
I mean, he's driving a fucking tank, right? Like, who's going to be able to afford that? It's very, very easy to look, let's look at all the companies that build this kind of stuff. Oh, Wayne Enterprises, that builds that kind of shit.
Apparently nobody owns a cell phone during these movies. Because that vehicle would have been on YouTube and on everywhere, but apparently nobody needs to know that Batman exists, because apparently to do that nobody owns a cell phone, nobody recorded anything, and it's like you're going out of your way.
Go.
So it's like the movie's going out of its way to go, we have to establish this idea that nobody knows who he is. So to do that, no cell phones exist, no cameras on buildings exist. And it's like, I understand the point he's trying to make, but if you're trying to establish that this is supposed to be a gritty, trying to be as realistic as possible, you're screwing it up.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, but I never had a problem with those aspects of the movie, because I was like, there's still suspension of disbelief kind of thing. But I do have a lot of problems with The Dark Knight. I'm one of the rare people. I still like it a lot, but I'm one of the rare people who thinks Batman Begins is actually a better movie. Like, just in terms of the writing, the flow of the movie, how it, how it gets from A to B to C, right? Like it tells a total story. There's no fat, there's no waste. Granted, the Joker is a much, much better villain than, say, Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow. And that makes it more entertaining in a way. But when it isn't the Joker, that film does. I mean, like, Two-Face is wasted. Two-Face is completely wasted. What does he do? His total super villainy is like killing 3 people. It's like, this is one of Batman's biggest villains. So I think there's a lot of problems with that movie that people choose to ignore because it's got the Joker in it, essentially, and people love the Joker.
The main difference between the first one and the second one is that with the first one, everything that happens actually happens for a reason. But in with the Dark Knight, it's, we need the Joker to have henchmen. So he gets henchmen. We want a scene where Harvey Dent has half his face melted off, but is still alive. So despite the fact that that's not possible, we're going to have a scene where, Harvey Dent has half his face melted off and can still talk. So it's like, who cares if it doesn't make any, or all the bombs, the container of explosives.
Yeah, how does he do that? Like, how does the Joker do any of this stuff? It's miraculous, yeah.
So, but because the movie has that idea, they're going, we're just going to put it in. With the first movie, it's a lot slower paced because they actually make sure every next step is actually has a reason and a basis. With the second movie, We want Batman.
This is why I never get why people complain about Lex Luthor's plan in BVS, because if you look at Lex Luthor's plan in BVS versus the Joker's plan, it's kind of similar. It's just everything you need Lex Luthor to be able to do, he does, right?
Yeah.
It's just like there's not much explanation given for it, and it's the exact same with the Joker. It's like, wait a second, so let me get this straight. You cut a man open, sewed in a bomb into into his body, and then he got into jail somehow through all of the, metal detectors, everything. And he's just staying there perfectly fine until he gets ill, because obviously he's got something strapped beneath his chest, which would have given him an infection and other things which would have made him sick immediately. It's crazy, to think that, like, I like it. I can roll with it. I'm maybe not as critical as you are, but I can roll with it. But when people tell me that, like, Lex Luthor's plan made no sense, I'm like, well, Joker, you accepted that, so
The other scene in The Dark Knight is, like, again, a scene just for the sake of having a scene, where you have the Joker having the entire party at ransom, is kind of having them catch it. We want all your jewelry. Batman shows up. Well, how do we get Batman out of there? Oh, I know. We'll just have Batman jump out of a 200-story window, land on a car, and he'll be fine. Well, we need him to escape. Well, how do we get him to escape? He's going to jump, 20 stories onto a car. Well, how does he survive?
It's the bat suit. He's Batman.
By the way, the Joker's still up there at the party.
Yeah, right.
What's he doing?
What did he do? Did he just leave? Yeah, no, it's true.
You saved the girl. That's great. What about the rest of the guests? Oh, no, it's okay. Right. Apparently, they're not.
That's again like the same thing. I have the same fucking thing about Man of Steel. It blows my mind every time where Superman flies in, like, to save his mother, right? And then he just takes Zod out and starts, what do you do? And I'm like, wait a second, there's 2 Kryptonians left with your mother. It's going to take them 0.2 seconds to fucking murder your mother. Why would you just leave those Kryptonians? Those psychopathic.
Because one of the things that these movies have done is, if it's off screen, it's not happening.
Right.
If it's off screen, out of sight, out of mind. That's what they're hoping for. That's what they're counting on.
They couldn't figure out a way of. Yeah. No, go on.
If the audience doesn't see it, they won't think about it. So it's not. They don't have to worry about it, because the next scene could be later that his mother is just fine and everything. Because it's like, well, what happened off screen?
Right. And they were right about that Joker scene as well. It's just like the Joker's still up there. What? Did he just leave them alone? Like the.
As long as he saved, I forget the name of the girl he saved. I can't remember.
Rachel Dawes.
Rachel. He saved Rachel. That's all that matters. So that's all the audience. That's the only person the audience was meant to care about. So that's the only person the audience cared about. All the people that are back in the party, they can all die. What do we care? Rachel's alive.
I'm going to pivot a little bit just to ask you about your opinions on the DCEU, including the Joker. Yeah, go on. So what's been your opinions on that? Because, like, you've got some strong opinions on the recent MCU movies, which I'm going to leave till a bit later. But, like, so what's been your general opinions on the DCEU?
Most likely, okay, here's the problem I have with the fan base in regards to the DCEU, okay? It's that if the right people like a DC movie, then it's a good DC movie. if the right people don't like a DC movie, then apparently, since most of the fan base don't know anything about the DC characters, if the right people say this movie sucks, they're going to go, well, what do I know? Then obviously the movie sucks. What was it called? Suicide Squad was a great example, because with Suicide Squad, you literally had half the audience who liked the movie, and you had half the audience who didn't like the movie. You watch reviewers, they're literally pivoting back and forth between how they liked it and how they didn't like it. But if it was a movie, I can't remember, what was the movie? If there was a DC movie that everybody hated, then believe me, all the reviewers would be going, oh, here's how it sucked. Here's how it sucked. Here's why I hated it. There was never any redeeming features. But if it's a movie, same thing with Aquaman. There was enough people that liked it, and there was enough people that hated it, that when it came to reviewing it, well, which group do you pander to? Well, you play it safe. You pander to both. You talk about how great the movie was, but you also talk about how it sucked, because you have to please both your audiences. Whereas a guy like me, who doesn't actually have an audience, I don't have anybody to pander to, so I can explain how much I liked the Suicide Squad movie.
I liked it as well.
The only thing I hated about the Suicide Squad movie was Harley Quinn.
Okay? Oh, really? I liked her. All right. Go on.
Okay. Harley Quinn had absolutely no... When did Harley Quinn become an acrobatic expert that can take on Batman hand to hand? When was this? I didn't get the memo. I missed the memo.
Thank you, dude. Thank you.
I missed the memo.
Dude, you're speaking from my soul right now. I have never understood why Harley Quinn. This goes back to the comics. By the way. But in the comics, I'm like, I'll accept it. It's a cartoon, whatever, right? But in the films, I was fully expecting at least in Birds of Prey, that they were finally going to explain to me why Harley Quinn, because she's a psychiatrist, right? She's an academic, right?
Yeah.
Pretty, not exactly the toughest. It didn't seem like, like some tough lady or something like that. She's just a chick who fell in love with the Joker.
The Taskmaster. She's actually the Taskmaster.
Yeah, she clearly.
She saw Batman beat her up so often and beat up the Joker that she memorized his moves. That's the only explanation for her to be.
I don't get it. Why is she an acrobatic expert, hand-to-hand fighting combat specialist? Who taught her? Where did she get these skills from? I've never understood it about the character.
But because she's a fan favorite, they had to actually give her some value into the movie, other than being, comic relief or cheesecake. Because she's in that elevator and takes out 5 fully armed men, and this. Yeah, they had to go out of their way to make her be more than she could, just to justify her being part of the team.
No, but it's an easy fix. Just explain it. It just has to be one line or something. I don't even need much. It's like, I go to some training or something like that, or I do Krav Maga, or I don't know, whatever. Like they could have just explained it away in one fucking line, and I would have been able to accept it. But the fact that she just fell into an acid vat, she's just a hot chick who fell into an acid vat and then comes out as a fucking Looney Tunes stroke Bruce Lee, right? Yeah. It's like, but that's, to be fair to the film, that is a problem that's gone back to the comics. Like, there's never been an explanation for why Harley Quinn can all of a sudden do all of that kind of shit.
You have to understand, Harley Quinn was invented from the Batman animated show. Okay?
Right.
That was her first appearance. She ended up becoming a fan favorite, so they went, well, the show's canceled. Everybody loves Harley Quinn. let's give her own comic book. But you can't have a comic book of Harley Quinn no longer being Joker's sidekick, because that's all she was. She was just a sidekick. Well, if you're a superhero, if you got a comic book, you got to have some type of powers. So, boom, they just gave her, the ability of Daredevil or Black Widow, but without the, gadgets.
Training or explanation of why.
They had to give it to her just so that they could actually establish the comic. So the movie comes out. They don't know anything about Harley Quinn. In the comic book, she's an athletic, ninja. Okay, so in the movie, she's an athletic ninja. Like the directors read comic books.
So let's go through like the DCU from the beginning, so I can get like a baseline on your kind of general views on it. So like Man of Steel, for morons, stupid.
I think I watched about 20 minutes of it and I went, okay, this is boring as hell.
Yeah,
because I'm a fan of the 1979 Christopher Reeve Superman movie, the first and the second.
I like this guy.
Those are the only two good Superman movies that have ever been done. Okay.
Well, there's animated ones that are pretty good.
Pardon?
Some of the animated ones are really good.
No, that's a whole different. I'm talking movies. The animated movies, the animated shows, and the DC movies. Those are a whole different beast altogether. Okay.
Yeah, they're great.
When it comes to Superman movies, it's like, here's the thing: the first Superman movie is slow as hell, and like you could watch the first Superman movie from like 1979 and go, nothing happens, and it's like, yeah, it's all story. The movie actually relies on character, plot, and story. There is no other movie in the recent 10, 15 years where it actually focused on story, plot, and character. It's like, look at the pretty special effects. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of the movies that I didn't really watch because they were boring. Like I had to force myself to sit through Batman v Superman because that was just, oh, please, something happen, anything. But it was all.
I like, obviously, with Batman v Superman, what I liked is the ideas in it. I thought it was a movie. I liked what it wanted to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I really appreciated what it wanted to be. I think it succeeded in some areas, and in most of the areas it failed. But I really appreciate the attempt, at least, to be somewhat of a mentally stimulating blockbuster. Did it succeed? Nah. No. And it really failed on, I think it failed mostly on the characterization of Batman and Superman. I think that wasn't Batman and Superman. They made a Batman v Superman movie, except it was just a guy in a bat suit and then a guy wearing a Superman suit who have completely different values, morality, everything than the Batman and Superman that we've known. And that was its biggest failing. But there was other things. But generally speaking, I do still find it more edifying, a little bit more entertaining than a lot of I'll put it this way, a lot of the MCU movies. Like about half.
No,
if not more than half.
What are our options?
Yeah. So that's my
between a banana and an apple.
Yeah. So that's my thing with BVS, but it's interesting. So BVS is very boring for you. Then what do you make of Suicide Squad? You liked?
I liked Suicide Squad except for Harley Quinn because it was so forced. Oh, and I also hated the I don't know how much I can swear, but the BS complaints about Suicide Squad. Oh, the Joker is a leader of a gang? That's so stupid. That's ridiculous. Hey, did you guys watch The Dark Knight? What was the Joker have? He had a gang, remember? He was a gang leader. So it was okay for the Joker to be a gang leader in The Dark Knight, but when he's a gang leader in Suicide Squad, suddenly it's a stupid idea. Like even the complaints about the movie the people aren't even consistent in their BS complaints.
I thought the complaints were all over the place. One of the things that like got me was that they were like, "Oh, Enchantress is too powerful for the Suicide Squad. She's way too powerful, and like they'll just easily be killed." But they're a Suicide Squad. That's the whole point. They're supposed to go up against, odds that are, insurmountable. Yeah, exactly. So they send them on suicide missions. That's the whole point. So there was a lot of complaint. I found the film quite funny. I thought the humor was darkly funny. Like Killer App and some of Harley Quinn's lines during the movie I thought was darkly funny. I like Boomerang as well. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, that was weird. How Boomerang had. Why is it that the Australian characters have all the best parts? Because even with the Mortal Kombat movie, right? Kano,
he was really
being
good.
Australian, he was the only part of that movie I enjoyed was Kano.
That was good, yeah. The only part, you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, I like Boomerang. He was funny, and he actually, I didn't even care if Boomerang wasn't even a viable member. He was just a fun guy to have, and it was just funny to hear him talk and just with everybody.
Right, because everyone was complaining like he didn't his boomerangs didn't do anything, and I'm like, I don't care. He entertained me. He was funny like that. Most of the characters were funny, and the ones that were really bad, like Killer Croc, were hardly in it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like. Yeah, Killer Croc was awful. There's no doubt he was absolutely fucking awful, but he had like 3 lines in the movie. Even Joker, who I didn't really like so much, the Joker that they put, it didn't rise up to like say Jack Nicholson or
I'm not saying I like.
No, but what I'm saying about it is that even still, he wasn't in it that much. So even he was just there as background to explain Harley Quinn's character, just like Will Smith's daughter. Will Smith's daughter was there as background to explain Will Smith, right? Like the Deadshot. But sorry, go on. What were you going to say?
But he was also a plot device. When they needed a helicopter to save Harley Quinn, they just happened to be there, know exactly where she was, and knew how to get there was everything. So he was there enough so that when he suddenly showed up to help rescue Harley Quinn, oh, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about how it doesn't make any sense. It's just the Joker.
Right. It's Joker. It's Joker. That's what the Joker does. He does crazy shit. Right. So I like that movie. I mean, I'm not going to give it more than a 6.8 out of 10. I'm not saying I'm not crazy here. I don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything like that. It's lacking story, and the second act is ridiculous. It goes from the first act to an elongated third act. So I see problems in it, but I don't know why everyone hates the movie. They talk about it as if it's on the level of Catwoman or something like that, and I'm like, dude, it's
because the right people didn't like it.
Yeah, again, it's better than, for me, Thor. It's better. I'd rather watch it than Thor 1. I'd rather watch it than Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay. I like the first one. I did like Ant-Man. I didn't really like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Well, I mean, I still would prefer watching Suicide Squad, even if just because the characters are more fun. The story's better in Ant-Man. The story's better, but like I following the actual characters, I find the characters in Suicide Squad a little bit more funny and edgy or whatever. Yeah, right. And there's a lot of movies like that, like the lesser Marvel movies where I'd be like, yeah, I'd prefer watching Suicide Squad over that. So let's go into Wonder Woman. What was your take on Wonder Woman? You're about to break my heart right now. I know it.
It's been a while since I've seen Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But the one scene I can remember is her going through no man's land, right? With her going up on the field, and she's got the shield. Yeah. And, it's a good thing that even though there were dozens of Germans, they were only firing at her 3 Germans at a time. Luckily, only 3 Germans were firing at her at a time, and there was no more. And the mortars were just every 2 or 3 minutes, just to let them know. Like, she was able to walk through that, and then you had all the other British soldiers.
She was blocking the bullets, though,
and they were somehow dodging the bullets too, because none of them died. Like, what? Like, her shield. Apparently, all of the Germans decided to just shoot at her and the shield, so all the other British soldiers wouldn't get shot at. Yes, because that's how the Germans won the war. Because it was just so forced to make her, and she's powerful. Like, here was the other one. I forget. You actually see her leaping up onto that tower, right?
Yeah.
So if she can jump so low, if she can jump so high and so far, when she first went on no man's land, why did she run across the field?
Why didn't she just jump over? I don't. But to be fair, I don't think she knew she had. I think she was still instinctually figuring out her powers.
And then when she did jump, how did she figure that out? Nobody told her. She just
but she probably was like, "I've got the strength in my legs, so I'm just going to try it." I guess. I don't know. Like, when you're in an instinct in a fight, I know what you mean. I mean, the film. Again, though, this is the thing, like, I would say is the difference between me and you, where I don't necessarily hate movies where I can see the exact inconsistencies you're talking about. Like, I totally see them. I see them, like, Wonder Woman, like, how do the boats, let me ask you this, how do the boats follow Steve Trevor to Themyscira? Right? I don't know if you needed them to, right? Like, there's no reason those boats should be there. How fast were those fucking boats?
Why was nobody able to see? Why was nobody able in 1942, or I think 1913 or 1912? Why was nobody able to discover Themyscira and actually sail through that fog or whatever? Because the movie needed them not to. Right. Everything is like. You took women on bows against, soldiers with machine guns, and apparently you can bring a bow to a machine gun fight and you can win.
Right. So there's lots of things that are inconsistent, but what for me, if a movie is consistent within itself, like once it's established certain rules and, like this is what is acceptable, and that's why Endgame for me is unacceptable, or even Infinity War is just unacceptable, because they establish rules, and then whenever those rules are inconvenient for them, that's fuck it. I'm not gonna bother with those rules. We'll do something else. But I wanted to so let's go so Wonder Woman, you're like, what, 50-50 on? Was it entertaining to you, or just it was just too stupid to?
Wonder Woman was like Captain America. The first half of the movie, where it's all introduced, explained, everything is going through about her, was great. Once they actually tried to, the problem with Wonder Woman is everything was forced because they needed it to happen that way. Okay, I mean, like, Ares was the guy all along. Well, at any time you could have, why did you have to hide who you were from Diana until the end of the movie? Well, because the movie needed to, because otherwise the movie would have only been 40 minutes.
Right.
I don't like, it's not that I don't like inconsistencies. It's like, don't force things when you could spend an extra 20 minutes or an extra 5 minutes of the story just trying to explain why. But the problem is they don't have to, because.
But so what if above that, like the dialogue is funny, the characters are likable, the score and the cinematography is good,
I give a damn about the musical score. I don't understand. Oh my God, the music fits so good with the scene. Well, if the scene is stupid, who cares?
Okay? Yeah, sure.
I don't watch a movie for its musical score. I watch a movie for its story, its character, and its plot. And if it's a superhero movie, it's special effects. That's why I watch the movie.
Right. No, I get you. I get you there. What have we got next after Wonder Woman? We've got, I guess it's Justice League. It's Justice League, right?
Okay, there's the original Justice League. The Justice League remix.
Right. So there's Justice League. So we'll go into Zack Snyder's Justice League a little bit later. Justice League, Aquaman, you like?
Aquaman was good. I liked Aquaman.
Aquaman was good. All right, cool.
Right.
Then you have
sense. Everything
Shazam.
Worked. Okay, Shazam. I thought Shazam was a really well done idea, but there was still a lot of
stupid.
There was still stupid in the movie. But again, the first half of the movie was absolutely great. Once they had to try to figure out how the one scene where you got Shazam in the sky and you got the other guy and they're like 2 miles away and the bad guy's monologuing and Shazam goes, "What? I can't hear you." I thought that was brilliant because it's like there would be no reason for him to be able to hear him, but he's monologuing anyway. That was hilarious. That was great. But then when it came to explaining how the powers work, it's like, how do they get, they go through the door and it gets to the cave, but then where do all these other doors go? It's been a while since I saw the movie. There's a lot of stupid because they don't know how to, they have these great ideas. They just don't know how to explain it. So they just let it.
I think it was just like magic. Magic is the explanation in that film, basically. It's like they go through the doors and then there's other realms and maybe they're going to explore it in future movies. But you generally speaking, you like the movie. You just thought.
I thought it was hilarious, and it was an idea that it was a risk on their part, and it paid off because I don't know, I can't remember the name of the actor who played Shazam, but he pulled it off. He pulled it off really well.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now either, but I thought he was really good. I thought the little boy and him were acting a little different, which was weird. But in general, I really like that movie. I think it's one of the better origin movies actually we've ever seen. I think it's highly underrated. Yeah, it's fun. Shazam. Now I'm trying to think. We've got Wonder Woman 84. I don't even think we need to talk about that. It's so stupid. It's there's not even a point in even it's beyond dumb. We can talk about that a dedicated stream definitely one day about how fucking stupid and disappointing Wonder Woman 84 is. It's mind-boggling that movie got made. 200 million. It was a slam dunk. A slam dunk. All they had to do is make a movie either equal or better than the first one.
No, they can't.
Not even.
It has to be one step. Every sequel has to be one step above the previous movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Same thing with the Terminator. Same thing with Predator. Same thing with all the other movies. If you're doing a sequel, you have to one up the previous one. And the thing here's the thing that as far as I'm concerned, this has been established when it comes to superhero movies. The directors have come to the viewpoint that they can do whatever they want and the audience will accept it. Wonder Woman 84 was that one movie where the audience was going, sorry, we're not accepting it this time. Because it's the same type of stupid that they've done in Infinity War and Endgame and all the other movies. But for some reason with Wonder Woman, the audience just didn't let the directors get away with whatever they wanted.
Oh, I think I know why. I think because whatever you want to say about like Aquaman or Infinity War, or like movies that are like big dumb fun, right? Essentially, like that's what they're advertised basically on. They're big dumb fun, right? Whatever you want to say about those movies, those were modern movies, right? Those were movies that really fit the sensibilities of the time in terms of the action scenes, in terms of like they were set in modern day, modern thing. So the problem with Wonder Woman 84 is it was a big dumb movie, but a big dumb movie made for a different time. Like it was set in the 80s, but it felt like a movie, or
it's a movie that
film.
If it came out in the 80s would have done well.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Right. People may have even been super critical of it then, but they would have been less critical of like stuff like the mall scene, right, where there's a guy like going in the middle. All of that kind of stuff just doesn't fit what audiences expect or want to see today. So that made all of the stupid shit in it even worse, because you're talking about same thing happened with Superman Returns. Really, it's like that's a movie again that I think that's actually not a bad movie, Superman Returns. But it's a movie made for the wrong generation. If they had made that 5 years after Chris Reeves Superman 2 or something like that, I think that would have been a classic. People would be looking back at it like these days it's like a fucking classic. But yeah, it's just completely wrong time for that type of movie. So Wonder Woman 84.
I think going with the Wonder Woman 84, it's like it's kind of hard for 20s and 30-year-olds to be nostalgic for an era they weren't even born in.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's why I feel people were like really hypercritical about that movie. But like move on from that, because it's just so dumb I can't even begin. Like there's so much stupid stuff in that movie.
I laughed throughout all of it, I might add. I laughed throughout the entire movie.
Dude, I didn't even think it was so bad it was good. It was so bad it was bad. It was hard for me to get through it, and I'm a huge DC fan, so it's it was shocking to me.
I've gotten used to it, so it's like it's now an expectation, okay? Because that's the only way I can enjoy the movies is by laughing at it. That's the fun factor for me. Same thing with Black Widow. I laughed throughout the entire movie because it was hilariously stupid.
We're going to get to Black Widow in a second. We will get to Black Widow because I'm curious about your thoughts on that. And then, so you've got Birds of Prey.
Oh, no, please.
The
TV show was fine for the first season, but yeah, the movie.
The movie's bad. All right, cool. Got you. What's left? Joker, I presume you didn't like it, right? I saw that on your channel, right?
I did a video explaining why I didn't like the Joker, and I can't sum it up in this thing because
I'm gonna watch that. I'm really curious about that.
The idea behind the movie was great. The idea behind it was great. The execution, again, there was so many forced. Like a really good example is near the end of the movie where he's on the talk show host. He's on the talk show, and he's pulled out a gun and he's about to shoot everybody, and they're still on air. It's like I don't see on the Tonight Show if some psychopath started pulling a gun on what's his name?
Oh no, they keep the cameras going.
If somebody pulls a gun on Colbert, do you think they're going to still be, recording? Of course not. But in this movie,
they probably would actually. Thinking about it, I'm thinking about it, like, because you don't know what the guy wants, and you might by going off air.
Yeah, but
but he wouldn't know that. He wouldn't know that. That's true.
You would pretend you're still on the air, but you still wouldn't broadcast it live, because if you shoot somebody on live television, I think the FCC might have an issue with that.
Yeah, probably.
And again, it's because the movie wanted to try to be as realistic. Again, there's a whole slew of things I had a problem with.
I'm gonna go and watch that, because there's a bunch of films that I want to do a dedicated stream with you about, but I want to get to your whole overview of the DCEU and then talk about the MCU, and then finally, I think Zack Snyder's Justice League. Then, isn't that right? I think we've covered all of them.
Yeah.
So Zack Snyder. No,
I didn't like it. I like the beginning was great. Okay. The attitude, again, it's been a while since I saw it, and I have to go see it again. And I could probably make a video explaining what I didn't like about it. But I remember that there was so many, I can't remember exactly, but there was just something going on. But Superman leaves to bring Lois Lane to go see his mom. And I remember going, there's something actually happening that you laughed. Are you going to actually go back and deal with it? It's like, no. They're going to stay and have the scene with him and his mom and Lois Lane. And all I remember, I have to see the movie again to remember. But I just remember it's like, what's going on? Like, why?
The world is ending and Superman's just like hanging out with his mom.
Because we need to have this one cool scene with this bonding moment. So who cares if the world is, because it's off screen, it's not happening. We don't have to deal with it yet until the movie actually starts going back to it. Again, there's just.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. So, all right, good. We've got through the whole of the DCU. So now that you've got through it, it's batting pretty low for you.
Yeah.
It's
always been.
So how do you now compare that with the MCU, which you obviously have like some issues with in the MCU? Because I'm not going to go through each movie in the MCU.
No. The thing with the MCU, okay, because here's the thing. It's cool to be an MCU fan, but it's not cool to be a DCEU fan. That's the difference. Because since the MCU movies were the ones that, pretty much brought on the MCU fan, the comic book fan base, they're getting all the credit. Okay? With Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Hulk, Captain America, you got Thor. They built the foundation.
The thing, the DCEU is really successful. I mean, not in terms of creating a universe, but in terms of the amount of movies they've made that have been box office successes.
Yeah,
most of them have been box office successes.
Again, but if you take Batman v Superman is the best example. That movie should have made $2 billion. In sales. That should have been. That should have made $2 billion. So the fact that it made, I don't know what, 800 million? Yes, you're right. It's a success. But that's like having Indiana Jones 5, okay, the Crystal Skull. Sure, it made a profit, but if it was an actual good movie, it would have made 3 times as much money.
Right. No, I agree with you on that. I absolutely agree. And the way you can see that is that BVS made about 400 million in its open weekend.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of its run, only made another 400 and something million. Yeah. Right. So usually if a movie makes 400 million in its open weekend, that should, if it has its normal course, it should run to $1 billion easily. I mean, think about this. Joker made less in its opening weekend than
But
BVS.
it had legs, though. It had legs, and it had word of mouth. And again, I hate to say this, but the right people liked the Joker movie, and enough of the right people liked the Joker movie, so you have to praise it.
Right. But then here's my thing. So what is your, how would I put it? Because I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want to get your just full opinion. What is your opinion then of the MCU? What, like, I know that Infinity War and Endgame are definitely, and as I said, videos you had on it. I watched it and I was just like, there's so much that I agreed with in it, and I was like, I saw that, and you're the only, you know what the funniest one was that you pointed out? And I was in stitches when you pointed this out.
You're gonna get me
no
in
one
trouble.
else.
People are gonna hate me.
But no one else pointed this out, and I had a big discussion because I'm friends with a lot of very, very cool MCU fans on this platform. But we have all these debates, like heated debates about this. And I pointed this out, and like they come up with the biggest amount of mental gymnastics to explain like situations. And I called them out on it. I called them out. MCU apologists at their finest. But there's one scene, right, where Rhodey is he's on the strange moon planet, or the purple planet, and he's there with Gamora, right? And they're after, you know, they've time traveled specifically to go and get this stone to stop Thanos. They're all aware that Thanos is looking for these stones. And then something happens. I can't remember what it is, but Rhodey turns to Gamora and he asks her, who else is looking for the stones? What? He goes, wait a minute, who else is looking for the stones? And you're just like, are you a fucking moron? Like, what's been going on in this whole fucking movie if you've got to ask who else is looking for the stones? And I remember you pointing that out, and I couldn't, you know, because I remember watching the film and being like, am I the only one seeing the absurdity of all of these, you know, and there's things with Gamora, like suddenly she doesn't know where her dad is, then she knows where her dad is, then she doesn't know where he is, you know, all of that stuff. It's just crazy, like that film, the way it's written, like within one scene, things are contradicting themselves, right?
Like the van being in the locker room, right? Where Scott comes out of the quantum device, because the van was in the storage room, and that's where the quantum device was, and it turns on, and then Scott Lang comes out. That's how Scott Lang. Remember that scene? Okay. Yeah. That was one of the most ridiculous scenes in the entire movie, because I'm looking and I'm going, who stores a van in a storage locker? The van should have been in an impound lot. And
right.
Not only that, how did they get the van in the storage locker?
How did it get there? Because like it was in Ant-Man, it was on top of a roof or something like it. No, it was in a big parking lot or something.
At the end of Wasp, Ant-Man versus Wasp, you see there's a post-credit scene where they're Pym and his wife, and they're all on the top, and they're doing an experiment.
They faded.
Scott goes into the quantum device, and then Thanos just snapped his fingers, and they all disappear. That's why Scott is trapped in the quantum realm.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, and then the other thing was, why was the quantum device still in the van? Wouldn't Pym Industries be going, yeah, you can take the van, we're keeping the quantum device, that's ours?
Well, no. You'd think that somebody went, right, picked up this van, right, and took it to the garage. I presume it isn't somebody from Pym Industries or anything like that. It's going to be like some government like type agency. They see this incredible technology.
No, seriously, think about it. Who
they
did
see this?
this?
Yeah, no, exactly. They see this incredible technology and they just leave it in the van. They don't go, let's take that and fucking research what the hell this thing is, right? Like,
no. That would make sense. And
then a rat lets him out. It's like, so Doctor Strange's whole 17 million to 1,
but it's not even
based
just
on a fucking rat.
Here's the thing: it's not even just the rat. The rat walking across the remote control, turning it on, is fine. Here's my question: what was powering the quantum device? It wasn't hooked up onto anything.
Right.
What was powering it? And nobody cared. None of the audience cared that there was
about anything in that film.
About anything, right?
Yeah.
And it just bugs me that, and again, this is the mentality. The directors and Disney figured out we can do whatever we want. The fans will not say anything.
You know, the funny thing is about it is, I swear to God, if like they had that many inconsistencies, and I'm not leaving DC out of this because Man of Steel was bullshit because of the amount of plot holes. Like literally a gravitational hole, like a black hole, like, you know, is opened in the middle of the fucking world, like in the middle of Metropolis, and only sucks in the Kryptonians and everything else, but not Lois Lane for some reason. That's how big the plot holes were in Man of Steel. So I'm not like trying to excuse like the DCEU, but if a DC movie had that many fucking plot inconsistencies in it, they would have annihilated it. They would have annihilated it. The critics would have come out, knives drawn, everything for that fucking movie. And it's the same with Infinity War. It all begins in Infinity War, and then it just goes into hyperdrive, if you will, in Endgame, where it's just like they don't give a shit anymore. Right? They don't even want me to.
If they could get away with what they did in the first movie and nobody said anything, what's to stop them from keep doing it?
Right, exactly. They don't care. So then how do you think this started with Infinity War and Endgame, or was there something going on before in the MCU? And how does that impact your view of the MCU versus the DCU?
The MCU started off great, and then they believed their own hype and then decided we can do whatever we want because again, there was things in Black Panther that, again, overall was great, but there was a bunch of inconsistencies. Nobody said anything. Okay, so let's do Thor Ragnarok. Bunch of inconsistencies and stupid. Nobody's saying anything. Let's keep going. So, like, I think the thing with the MCU movies is they started off going, we need to be good because we need to get people involved in the MCU. So they actually cared, and like with Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie, well, not the one with Tobey Maguire, the British kid, right? The first Spider-Man movie, with Tom Holland. That had to be good because they had to get people into that, universe. Like again, Iron Man 2 didn't have to be that good. Iron Man 3 didn't have to be that good. But Thor had to try and be as best as it could. Doctor Strange was more of an afterthought. They all had to try. I don't think Doctor Strange was as good as it could have been, but
yeah, my problem is they're all pretty mediocre. They don't really aim to be more than
even the Hulk movie. It was just meant to establish. It was just
that Hulk's in this universe, and that Hulk, is going to be part of these.
But there wasn't that much stupid in the movies because they were trying to make a solid story. They weren't good, solid stories.
Yeah, there were simple sort of stories, but
everything they tried to make it so that Thor didn't just do things and things didn't just happen. Like the Destroyer didn't just happen because Loki woke up that morning and said, "What the hell?" There was a reason. Like the Destroyer was set up and it was explained and it was so everything worked. They weren't good, but everything worked. But as the movies progressed, more and they would be testing. It was as if they were testing the waters, going, "Okay, here's a little bit of stupid."
Here's where I think the stupid really started. There were bad movies, but they weren't stupid. Like Iron Man 3, Iron Man 2. There's not so many plot holes or whatever in them, but they're just not great movies.
Right.
With great aspects to them. Yeah. But the stupid really started for me in Avengers Age of Ultron. That's where it really, really began, where I was just like, wait a second. Even within the logic of the films that you're telling me about, like within the logic of the film, Iron Man is a fucking criminal. Iron Man and Dr. Banner are criminals. They literally created an AI murder bot that tried to create an extinction level event on Earth, nearly succeeded, and then literally killed thousands of people in the process. And it's okay because it's like, do you know what I mean? Because it's Tony Stark. Yeah, it's all right because it's Iron Man. Basically, that's what it is. Like that's the only justification. And then he has the unmitigated goal in Civil War to start criticizing the rest of the Avengers for, like saving the world from him, basically, and then they have the Sokovia Accords, and the Sokovia Accords never really addressed the fact that Iron Man built this thing that is the very reason that they're doing the Sokovia. All it says is this pseudo intellectual kind of explanation that, hey, that whenever because the Avengers exist and they're now superpowered beings, there are people who are now equally trying to match them and they're causing more destruction. But it's like, dude, shut up. All right, I don't give a shit. The Avengers were saving people in the end of the fucking day. It's like it doesn't matter if other people are trying to do criminal shit and destroy the world and whatever, and they're becoming more and more formidable because the Avengers exist. That's not the Avengers' problem, right? The Avengers' problem. Yeah, it's not their fault, right? How are they gonna do anything about that? Like, what? And to be fair, the aliens and Thanos and everything that was, coming would have come whether the Avengers existed or not. Yeah, right?
It's not like Thanos went, you know what? We're not going to go after the stones on Earth because the Avengers weren't formed yet. We'll wait till they are formed, then we'll go invade Earth. Well, no, that's not how it works.
Right. So that whole thing about the bigger threats, I just thought was absolute nonsense. The thing that the Sokovia Accords should have been talking about is like, hey, Iron Man, you created that last fucking thing. That was you. You unilaterally decided, hey, I don't give a fuck about anything. I'm just going to create this murder fucking bot. And, because I want to protect the Earth. I'm not going to ask governments. I'm not going to ask anybody else. I'm just going to do it myself. It goes wrong. He gets nothing. Nothing happens. And then he further, even just to add to the arrogance of this guy who's a fucking criminal. And I like RDJ as Iron Man. It's not RDJ's fault. He's great as Iron Man. But to add further to the just complete insanity of this character and the morality in these films, he gives a fucking device to a 16-year-old child, right? That is like the most powerful weapon. Like he gives it to Spider-Man, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. When you said 16-year-old, I'm going, what random 16-year-old?
Yeah, like he gives
You're
it to
talking about Peter
Spider-Man.
Parker, okay.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm just gonna give you this thing because I think you're the person who. I'm not gonna give it to, I don't know, Black Widow. I'm not gonna give it to fucking Doctor Strange, Captain America. Like, maybe Captain America is dead by then. I don't, or he's not around. But like, you know, the what's the black guy?
Black Panther?
No, well, Black Panther, even
War
exists.
Machine.
No, War Machine, for fuck's sake. You know, the guy with the eye patch. Any of those guys. He's not going to give it to anyone. He's going to give it to a 16-year-old child.
Well, you had to because that was the next movie coming out, so you had to segue to it. Again, right. The movie doesn't care if it doesn't make any sense. We have to introduce Spider-Man because that's the next movie coming out, so we have to segue to that movie. So it doesn't matter.
But it's like hard for me to like get behind this guy when he's making decisions like that, and then it's harder for me to understand the reality of this world because your greatest hero is a supervillain. They're straight up. He's a supervillain who believes he's doing the right thing. That's what Iron Man is.
Iron Man. You can't question Iron Man. How dare you? And even in the movie, when the Avengers discovered, and he explains how they created Ultron, they all start giving him crap. But then Iron Man goes, okay, you know what? First, let's deal with, that's fine. I screwed up. But you know what? We need to deal with Ultron now. So after they deal with Ultron, do they go back to chastising him for what he did? No. They let it ride anyway.
Right, exactly.
He's Iron Man.
And then it's like he was right in the end. In the end of the movie, he was right because they create Vision. So anyway, that's kind of like my thing of like where the MCU I think started going off the rails for me, and I'm wondering if it was
just a slow progress. To me, it was just a slow progress, and then it just got to the point where they realized they were untouchable, that they could do whatever they want. Because again, you had Infinity War, and then you had Captain Marvel, which again they just had all the stupid they could think of. And they put into it, and it didn't matter if it didn't make sense. They just needed it. They just needed her to be there because they wanted her in the second Infinity War movie. So they were just doing whatever stupid they could get away with, and they were getting away with it.
Yeah. And then, okay, so I've got to go fairly soon. But I wanted to do a part 2 to this, if you're open to doing that.
Do you have anybody else still watching?
No, there were people watching, but like it was I wanted to do a part 2 to this when this other person's stream is off. It would be better. But I wanted to just talk to you about Black Widow before we go, and possibly just about the state of blockbusters at the moment, like because you just do great content on all these different blockbusters and how stupid they are. So I know you had a problem with Godzilla versus Kong and stuff like that, which I did as well. But I want to talk to you about that a little bit later. But like, so Black Widow, the latest MCU movie, I liked it, right, for the most part. But I suspect the criticisms you're going to mention are the exact same criticisms I have. I just happen to find it more entertaining, so that I could allow for those. But like, let me hear what was your problems?
I'll give one example. Near the end of the movie, after they do everything, the Red Guardian goes to Yelena or something and goes. Yelena says. She says something that's like, "What are you good for?" And it's like, "Yeah, why? Like what's? I forget what it was, but she basically chastises the Red Guardian for something. And do you have any questions or something? And I go, yeah. Why am I in this movie? Why is the Red Guardian in this movie? He does nothing. He contributes nothing to this movie. They rescue him for what? So that they could find out where. And it's like,
and he doesn't know. He has to go to find the mother. But
the Red Guardian cannot handle the Taskmaster, but Black Widow could. The Red Guardian, the guy that's the equivalent of Captain America in speed, strength, and ability. He 2 punches and he's down. Why is he in this movie? He's not. He doesn't contribute to this movie, and it just really pissed me off. Then you have Yelena in the helicopter with the rescuing. No matter what they do to shoot the helicopter, nothing stops. He goes, "Oh, you're shooting at me? Well, I'm done with you." Puts the helicopter on autopilot, goes in the back, takes out his stinger, shoots the tower, and it's like nobody else is, during this entire time, nobody else is shooting at the helicopter or firing at her. Because it's her scene to actually take it. And it's like she sends the antidote to Black Widow, and when Black Widow takes out, there's the coil of the serum, right? And it's the pictures she still had from when she was a kid. How she still has those pictures, I don't know, but she sends them, and then when she goes back to her safe house and wherever, you meet Yelena, and she goes, "You brought it back?" And it's like, well, what else was I supposed to do with it? You first meet Taskmaster. Taskmaster blows up her car on the bridge, right? And it's like, but you could have run the risk of destroying the serums you were supposed to get. So why would you blow the car? And then the car is about to fall off the bridge, but he doesn't care. Then she jumps off the bridge into the water, and it's like, well, why didn't you go after her?
Why didn't he kill her? That was one thing I didn't understand. He just walks away.
Or she.
Yeah, true. She walks away from Black Widow when she's got Black Widow down.
Yeah, there's that one scene where they're staring at each other.
Because the suitcase is in the other direction.
Yeah.
But you think that Taskmaster would know that this is a highly dangerous person who's highly trained and skillful. Maybe I should finish them off so that I can then go and get the suitcase. That would be the logical thing to do. But, hey, I was broadly speaking, for me, the heart of the movie was just the emotional scenes with the family and stuff like that. That was it. Like, and it would add a little bit of comedy. So that was the heart of the story. And one thing I'll say about this movie over like other MCU movies, the supporting cast had something to do. They got big name actors and they gave them something to do in terms of an actual challenging character that they could sink their teeth into. So, the guy who plays the Red Guardian, he's not big in the action, but in terms of his performance, I liked his performance.
The actor's great. The actor.
Whereas other MCU movies, I'm like, you get all these big name actors,
but
you get them to do fuck all. It's like I don't get it. I'm like, why get such a great actor if you're going to give them nothing to do? You give them like these villains, or villains that are just trash, So I agree with you on pretty much everything you said about Black Widow. I think I have a little bit of a higher tolerance for some of the bullshit that you point out.
I'm not offended by it. I'm not pissed.
Yeah.
To me, it's what's funny. It's just hilarious to just see it.
Yeah.
So I'm not salty over the movies being full of stupid. To me, that's the only way I can enjoy them.
Yeah. So basically what I want to do in like a part 2 of this discussion is just go into like more, about your criticisms then of Infinity War and Endgame, because like that's been a big point of contention on my channel of why I don't like this movie. So I want to actually discuss Endgame and Infinity War with you. But let's just to finish off with like the blockbusters at the moment. Like, let's start off with Godzilla versus Kong. But what do you think is the state of like blockbusters at the moment? Like that you've seen recently?
They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. With the MCU, it was so easy. Just make another MCU movie.
You've built a universe. Yeah.
That was the plan for 10 years. Does somebody have a good idea for a sci-fi movie? Well, yeah, okay, we'll throw that in every once in a while. But now that the MCU is obviously it's not dead, but I'm saying because it's so slowed down, they don't know what to focus the blockbusters on. Do we focus on fantasy movies? Do we focus on sci-fi? Do we focus on action? They're kind of grasping at
are you looking forward to some of the future ones, like like say Flash or Dune or any of the Batman?
I'm looking forward to them, but I have no expectations for any of them anymore. I've stopped having. I've gotten to the point where I had expectations for the movies, and I'm constantly being disappointed, and it would piss me off. So I'm going, you know what? You don't want me to give you any expectations, except that I think you're going to be full of crap and you're going to be stupid. That's the expectations I have for them. I went in with Godzilla. I went in with Kong versus Godzilla with the expectations that it was going to be full of stupid, and they didn't disappoint. So
right, but here's the thing about this, because me and Philosophical Pickle, he's my co-host on one of the shows that I do called Hot Takes Tuesdays. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but I give an unpopular opinion, and I have a panel of people, and they discuss with me my unpopular opinion. But hence Hot Takes Tuesdays, my channel. But Pickle and I did a video on Godzilla vs. Kong because we just both found it preposterous, and we thought surely everyone else is going to feel this as well. But Pickle gets so much hate for like this video that he did on Godzilla vs. Kong because like everyone, I think people like the movie generally. I'm not sure, and it's crazy to me. And
at the end.
I had such a low bar for this movie. All it had to do was just have Godzilla fighting Kong for most of the movie. Fuck the human stuff. I know you have to have some of it in there, but just have it like be basically sensible, a little bit interesting so that I can be bothered to follow in between the moments that Godzilla and Kong aren't fighting. It had none of that.
But every time they fight, Godzilla kicks Kong's ass anyway. So
yeah. No, but I mean, it had none of that. This story, the characters made no sense. The acting, awful. And I think they did it on purpose, to be fair to them. I think it was supposed to be, but I think they went too extreme. They dialed it up to about 50.
Oh,
right? Like on the scale of... Yeah, on the scale, because there's good actors in this movie. It's not like bad actors. Rebecca Hall's fantastic. The girl from Stranger Things isn't, she's not a terrible actress. There were some good actors here, capable actors. And you're just like, this story is not only bad, uninteresting, and boring, but it also doesn't make any sense. It was hard to get through the movie and just know what was going on. I was just looking. I felt like there wasn't a screenplay.
You were taking the movie seriously. That was the problem.
Oh, I wasn't. But that was the thing. I went into it not feeling like it's going to be a serious movie, but just like
no. I meant you.
I thought it would make basic sense.
No. Why would they do
nothing?
That?
It was nothing. I just couldn't even like between the fights. I was just like, I don't know what is happening. Like I literally was trying to gather my thoughts onto what, like the villain. Do you remember the Spanish guy? It's the Spanish guy who ends up being the villain. I was like, when was he established as the villain in this movie? I didn't get, like, I don't know. It was very weird. It was a surreal, and I almost enjoyed it. Yeah.
The problem was everything was so forced. It's like, how do we get to, we're at point A. How do we get to point B? No idea. So we'll just get to point B. Well, how do we get to point C? No idea. We'll just have it happen. And it's like, we need a villain. We never actually established one. We'll make him the villain now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It was the looniest, craziest film. Space Jam looks like Hamlet. Space Jam 2. No, but seriously, Space Jam 2 looks like Hamlet in comparison to Godzilla versus Kong. I'm serious. Like, at least I know what was going on.
Only if Ed Wood directed it.
If
Ed Wood directed Hamlet, then Space Jam Legacy is Hamlet compared to Godzilla.
I trust me, I don't think Space Jam 2 is good. I'm not trying to say Space Jam 2 is good. What I'm trying to say is at least it has a coherent story in the sense of it's not a good story.
A more coherent story.
Yeah, a more coherent. It's like, it's not a good story. I don't know why a father would be angry that his son is a brilliant programmer and want him to be a basketball player instead. I don't get that. Like, as a motivation.
To establish the tension. They wanted it. Yeah. The movie idea was to have the movie have the son go against the father. So they had, and since they couldn't actually come up with an actual good story, a reason, they had to force the story or force the tension. Right.
But at least that's comprehensible. Like, even though it's stupid, I can comprehend it, and I'm like, okay, so that's why they're having the stupid basketball match, and then then the two that you can see that the dad is doing the same thing to the Looney Tunes, and that's why for the Looney Tunes to actually succeed, they have to be themselves. He has to let there's something of a thing.
There's an actual theme to the movie.
Right. In Godzilla versus Kong, I don't know what is going on. I honestly don't. Like, if you were to ask me anything that's happening apart from the fact that Godzilla is fighting King Kong, that's all I understand in that movie. Anything else, I don't.
I think they made it up as they were going on.
Yeah, they did. Why does the little girl send Godzilla after to fight Mechazoid, for instance?
Mechagodzilla?
Mechagodzilla.
Because the movie needed them to.
Okay, yeah, all right, good. All right, we're on the same page.
There's no logistical. It's like, okay, here's the greatest thing about Kong versus Godzilla. They have to get Kong off Skull Island to go to a place that allows a passageway into the Hollow Earth, right?
Yeah.
Except in Kong's Skull Island already has the passageways to the Hollow World. That's how all the monsters were entering and being able to get to Skull Island. So you're on Skull Island that's already established. You have an entranceway to the Hollow Earth. No. That would make the movie too short. So we're going to spend an hour and a half getting
traveling
to another location that's literally so far away that it's going to take most of the movie just to get there, just so that it was just.
I don't know how it got past the. You just think, like, these guys have millions of dollars invested in this, like millions upon millions of dollars invested in this, and you're gonna let a script like that just fly? I really didn't understand it, and I wanted to like the movie as just some dumb fun. I really did, and then
I'm saying they were just banking on the special effects and the big fight scene at the end. That was all they were banking on.
Like, I don't know what movie is dumber. That has got to be one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen, period. And I'm not being hyperbolic. It really is. But there's been a couple of this years that have been real fucking, you know, they're really going for gold when it comes to stupidity. Like Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. I don't know what's stupider.
Oh, I know.
Army of the Dead or oh god, you're gonna love that.
Oh,
you've got to watch that with your sensibilities. I want to see your video on Army of the Dead. I think it will be hilarious. It is. I mean, to be fair though, that movie is heavily criticized, right? Okay. Like, it's not like people are pretending like it's actually good, like Godzilla versus Kong. To be fair. But yeah, I'd love to see your thoughts on Army of the Dead. But those two are distinctly the two most stupid movies I saw this year, easily. That being said, I do have to go now. But man, it has been a fucking pleasure talking to you. And I want to do it again very, very soon. Hopefully within the next couple of days, if you're available to do a part 2 to this. Obviously, you know, I know you've got your own thing, and hopefully, I don't know if you mind being on with a bit more of a panel. So I don't know if you mind being on with a bit more of a panel next time. So maybe I'll add like a couple more people into it.
How many are going to be cute? How many of them are going to be cute?
Oh, a couple of them, maybe.
As long as I got something to look at while the rest of you jammer off.
Right. So, and then we can do a further discussion about like this and maybe narrow it down to something like, you know, a particular thing,
whatever topic you want, dude. It's fine with me.
But yeah, I do have to fly at the moment. Fly, you know, like Clarice Starling.
Like Michael Jordan?
Like Michael Jordan. But man, yeah, again, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, man. And we're going to do this again soon. Do you want to quickly say about your channel again?
No,
Good stuff. Jaded Fanboy. Jaded Fanboy. You can find him under that name, and it's excellent stuff. It's funny stuff. If I could recommend some videos, like his stuff on I'm biased, yeah. His stuff on Infinity War and Endgame is fucking brilliant. And apart from that, guys, please give me a high five, smash the like button, comment, love the comments, always respond to the comments, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And apart from that, guys, I'm going to see you on the flip side. I love you 3000. Peace.